Hi guys and welcome to my video on One Piece episode 774, right. I know this is a little late, but I really wanted to do this in my regular filming spot because we can all agree that the background I had Thursday was really ugly and just no. So I waited a little bit until I was actually home so I could do this here, where my background is a little more colorful and there's stuff behind me and not just a white wall that looks like a prison cell. So yeah. But this episode was overall quite simple, and especially the latter half of it was really enjoyable. I felt like they dragged a few things out in the beginning quite a bit with with the rumbling and stuff falling and Zoro cutting trees and stuff like that. Like, everyone loves to see Zoro do stuff, but I feel like we all knew that something big was gonna happen, so it was like, okay, we kind of just want to get to that instead of just like the mini things on the back of the elephant, because we had the boys and Jack and stuff like that. But it was really great to see when Momo gave the order to Zunisha and Zunisha attacked. I thought that the scene with Zunisha attacking was done really, really well. Because even though there were like a lot of still shots, I felt like they were used properly, because One Piece is really known for their still shots, but I really felt like they used them in a really good way. So every time we had like a shot of Zunisha doing something really great, like especially after he had like completely obliterated Jack and his crew, like that shot was really epic. And it was really, really nice done. And up until now, I haven't been a fan of how they've animated Zunisha, especially with how he walks. But I was really a fan of how they did in this episode. Like, it looked really, really great, and I really liked just like the details on the skin of the elephant. I thought it was really, really great. And I actually also really liked the moment where Momo for the first time sees through the eyes of Zunisha. I thought that moment was really great because he was like really scared, and you got closer to his face and then you started seeing out through Zunisha. Like, you got the experience of what Momo was doing, and like the sounds around him started like fading away. I thought that was really well done because it was a long scene, but it was like, again, I feel like again in the latter half of this episode they were really good at dragging the moments out, but like in a good way. So they had those weird fillery kind of moments in the beginning, which were okay, but compared to the latter half, that was really that was what the episode was. But we also had like the information of, okay, Oden and Roger could also hear this voice, but they never knew where it came from. So Momo and Luffy are really the first ones to figure out that the voice comes from the elephant. We also have a comment from, I think it's Nekomamushi, who says that, or maybe it's Inuarashi, I don't know. One of them says that they never really thought the elephant had a mind of their own, which is kind of weird when you think about it, because they have been living on the back of this elephant for like centuries. But yeah, it's really interesting, and Zunisha mentions that he did something, he committed a crime, and that's why he's been punished to just walk for eternity. But just this one time he would like the command to like attack back, which it raised a lot of questions. Is Zunisha forced like by some kind of magic to just do these things? Like, can he really not do anything unless he's given the command, or is it just out of pride and respect that he doesn't do anything unless he's told to? I think that's like an interesting question to bring up. But we also have Luffy says to Momo that Momo should be the one to give the order to Zunisha because he has a feeling that Momo's voice will be able to reach him. Which is interesting, again, because I feel like the power that Luffy and Momo have are different. Because Luffy, we know, has the power to hear the voice of all things, but I have a feeling that Momo's power is either different or he just has a special connection to Zunisha that Luffy doesn't have. And in that case, Luffy maybe has a different connection to something or someone else, depending on bloodlines or something. I think it's really interesting to see that there are similarities, but there are still differences in their abilities, and I would really like to know what the extent of Luffy's ability is. For Margaritas, we've kind of gotten a little bit more information on the voice of all things, which I think is really great because it raises even more questions, especially with the connection it has to Wano. But I won't get into that in case you're an anime only, but you can look forward to actually getting more information on this soon. But yeah, I think it's really interesting that we actually got this episode so close after we got that manga chapter, which is actually, you know, supposed to be out tomorrow, or today, it's Monday today. So yeah, I think it's really interesting that we got those two so close to each other. But basically we have Jack being obliterated, as I said, and they all fall into the water, and it's important to remember that basically everyone here is a devil fruit user, so they're basically screwed. But then again, we also have all the people in the back of the elephant being like, oh, so Jack is a devil fruit user, which means that now that he's in the ocean, he's dead, yay! Which of course means, okay, he's not dead, and Marguerite doesn't know why. Anime only should be able to guess why if you like looked at Jack's appearance, but in case you haven't figured that out yet, I will leave you to not figure it out for like 5 more episodes or something. We then have Luffy getting ready to leave, which by the preview we see that that's not really gonna happen. I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit, and then by the end we have something really interesting. We go to Wano. We can presume that it's Wano because Wano is based on Japan, and it literally just looks like Japan with the bonsai trees, and it's snowing, it's winter. We see Kaido, and he gets a call from Itenmushi, which looks suspiciously a lot like Apu, and if we remember back to last time we met Kaido, he met Apu, Kid, and Hawkins, so we can assume that Apu, at the very least, is now working for him, or he worked for him before, we never know. I'm gonna discuss this a little bit, and we also see that he has Kid beaten up and locked up in a cage, and I believe that this is actually one of the first chapters that I did a review of. If you go like way back in my videos, and I would really like recommend you to not watch any of my first videos because they're just awful and I couldn't speak and they were just no. But I know that I made a review of that because I remember I spent like 4 hours coloring that page so I could make it my thumbnail, but whatever. Anyways, going back to Apu, because I remember this was like a hot topic when this chapter came out, and we're still not quite clear on what is actually going on here, because there are a number of different possibilities in how Apu and maybe Hawkins ended up working for Kaido. Were they planning on betraying Kid all along, because we know that pirate alliances naturally go hand in hand with betrayal? Were they planning to betray him from the beginning, or when Kaido just appeared in front of them, were they like, okay, please don't kill us, we will work for you if you just like don't kill us, because this is a Yonko, an immortal Yonko standing in front of you. He just survived falling 10 kilometers from the sky, landed and made a dent in the island, stood up and was like, oh my god, I'm so bored, let's start a war. And you're just like, okay, well fuck, maybe I should make some kind of compromise, because I feel like Apu would be a person who would do this. Kid, of course, would not do this, which is probably why he's in prison now, because he resisted if that was what ended up being the case. But who knows, Apu could have been working for him for the entire time. We don't know about Hawkins yet. We can assume that he did not resist like Kid because we didn't see him. I feel like we would have seen him if he had been locked up as well, but you can never know, because I feel like they wouldn't put them in the same cell, and just from like our perspective, Kid is a more important character than Hawkins is. I know a lot of people don't really like Hawkins. I think he's pretty cool, but yeah, so at the very least we know that Kid is in a really bad state and Apu is working for Kaido, so we kind of have confirmed now that Kaido has 2 Supernovas under him, and they are Apu and X-Drake. So that's gonna be really interesting whenever we make it to Kaido, which should be not too far in the future. Now going back to the preview a little bit, because I may or may not combine next week's episode with the episode that comes after that, because from what I can tell from the preview, it is mostly dragging out one single panel in the manga to an entire episode, because while in the manga they do tend to Zunisha, as we can see the next episode is about, it's literally just that one panel, and I can see that they're gonna make some drama out of it just to like drag things out, because and that's kind of fine because we're really quickly catching up to the anime, so it's not too bad to make filler episodes like this. And I'd rather that they do stuff like this, and then we can get some like really good paced animation and episodes when we get to Whole Cake Island, because that's just like an epic arc that should be done well. So I'm quite fine with this kind of development from the anime. but I might put those videos together then, because I don't really want to talk about filler episodes. So while there's probably gonna be some canon stuff, I'm gonna talk about it, but in like, yeah, with another episode, just so that I have something else to talk about as well, because, yeah.